What if you knew your killer before they struck? What if you warned your friends, your family, even your neighbors, and no one could stop what was coming? This isn't a plot from a thriller. It's the real-life horror story of Dominique Dunne, a rising star from Hollywood's golden lineage. Best known for her role in the 1982 horror classic Poltergeist, Dominique played a teenager haunted by ghosts. But off-screen, she was haunted by something much more real. A man, a lover, a stalker, and eventually, her murderer. She told friends she feared for her life. She changed her phone number. She moved houses. She called the police. She begged for help. And yet, just weeks after wrapping one of the most iconic supernatural films of the decade, Dominique Dunne was strangled in her own driveway by the man she desperately tried to escape. This is not just a story of a promising career cut short. It's a chilling tale of obsession, warnings ignored, and a justice system that failed to deliver justice. This is the story of the woman who predicted her own murder and was right. Dominique Ellen Dunne was born on November 23, 1959, in Santa Monica, California. She was Hollywood royalty from birth. Her father was Dominique Dunne, a renowned writer, producer, and eventual investigative journalist for Vanity Fair. Her mother, Ellen Griffin Dunne, came from a privileged background as well. In short, Dominique grew up surrounded by success, creativity, and wealth. But she wasn't just another socialite. From a young age, Dominique had an intense passion for acting. After attending elite prep schools, she studied at Milton Academy in Massachusetts, then went on to study acting in Colorado and Italy. She eventually returned to Los Angeles, diving into the television world with appearances on shows like Chips, Fame, and Hill Street Blues. Her big break came in 1981 when she was cast as Dana Freeling, the eldest daughter in Poltergeist. The film, directed by Tobe Hooper and produced by Steven Spielberg, became an instant classic. Audiences loved Dominique's performance. She was young, beautiful, talented, and suddenly on everyone's radar. But while her star was rising, her personal life was spiraling. She was in a relationship with a charming young chef named John Thomas Sweeney. To the outside world, he seemed sophisticated, successful, and attentive. But to Dominique and those closest to her, he was controlling, jealous, and prone to terrifying rages. The dream was about to become a nightmare. John Thomas Sweeney was no stranger to high society. As the head chef at Mar Maison, one of Los Angeles's most exclusive restaurants, he brushed shoulders with celebrities nightly. It was there he met Dominique. Their relationship began quickly, intensely, and dangerously. Within months, the signs of abuse emerged. Friends recalled how he isolated her from family. He read her mail, listened in on her calls, and dictated what she wore. When Dominique tried to reclaim her independence, Sweeney would lash out. There were slaps, shouts, bruises, and apologies. A cycle as old as abuse itself. One evening, Sweeney yanked Dominique by the hair, pulling out clumps. Another time, he allegedly grabbed her throat in front of a friend. The violence wasn't subtle. It was escalating. In August 1982, just weeks after Poltergeist hit theaters, Dominique finally ended the relationship. She moved into a new house on Rangeley Avenue in West Hollywood. She changed her number. She tried to vanish. But Sweeney wasn't finished. He began showing up at her house uninvited. Sometimes he left notes. Other times he rang the doorbell obsessively or peered through her windows. He was watching her, and she knew it. Dominique told her mother, "He's going to kill me." She said it plainly, repeatedly, and with a growing sense of certainty. Her friends recalled how she slept with the lights on. She stopped going out at night. She even rehearsed what to do if he showed up again. She wasn't being paranoid. She was being hunted. On the night of October 30th, 1982, everything unraveled. Dominique was at home rehearsing a scene with a fellow actor, David Packer, for an upcoming role on the series V. It was just another evening of work. Until the doorbell rang. It was John Sweeney. David Packer would later testify that Dominique agreed to step outside to speak with her ex. He waited inside, unaware that he was about to become a witness to the unthinkable. Within minutes, voices were raised, then silence, then, terrifyingly, the sound of gasping. David opened the door to find Dominique lying unconscious in the driveway. Sweeney was kneeling beside her. He had strangled her with his bare hands until she passed out. David called the police, but was told not to intervene. When police arrived, Sweeney turned himself in immediately, saying, "I killed my girlfriend." Dominique was rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. She had no brain activity. After 5 days on life support, her parents made the excruciating decision to remove her from the machines. She died on November 4th, 1982, just 19 days before her 23rd birthday. Her funeral was attended by hundreds of mourners, but one seat remained eerily empty: the courtroom, where her killer would soon face trial. Because while Dominique's murder was shocking, what happened next defied all reason. Justice would not be served. At first, it seemed clear-cut. John Sweeney admitted to the murder. The evidence was overwhelming. There were witnesses. There was motive. There was even a confession. But then, the legal machine kicked in. Sweeney's defense team argued that the crime wasn't murder. It was a crime of passion. They claimed he acted in the heat of the moment, out of emotional distress. The defense did everything it could to downplay Sweeney's history of violence, preventing testimony about prior abuse from being admitted into the trial. The judge, Burton Katz, shockingly ruled that much of Sweeney's past behavior was inadmissible, calling it prejudicial. Dominique's family and friends were silenced. They couldn't speak about the time he pulled out her hair or strangled her weeks before. Instead of a murder charge, Sweeney was convicted of voluntary manslaughter and misdemeanor assault. He was sentenced to 6.5 years. He served just 3 years and 7 months before being released in 1986. Dominique's family was devastated. Her father, Dominique Dunne, who later covered celebrity trials for Vanity Fair, said the injustice haunted him. He wrote about the trial in heartbreaking detail, exposing the court's failings and the system's betrayal. Sweeney changed his name after prison and moved out of Los Angeles. For years, the Dunne family tracked his whereabouts, warning future employers about who he really was. But the damage was done. A young woman was dead, but killer walked free. And justice, true justice, never came. In the years following Dominique Dunne's death, the term poltergeist curse began to circulate. It started as a whisper, then turned into a theory, passed from horror fan to horror fan. After all, Dominique wasn't the only tragedy linked to the film. Heather O'Rourke, the young girl who played her sister, died at just 12 years old from a rare intestinal illness. Julian Beck, who appeared in the sequel, died from stomach cancer. Will Sampson, another cast member, died shortly after surgery. Fans began to wonder, was the movie cursed? But the real curse wasn't supernatural. It was something far more chilling. It was human negligence, legal leniency, cultural complicity. The real curse was a system that let a known abuser serve less than 4 years for taking a woman's life. A judge who excluded evidence of past violence because it might bias the jury. A media environment more fascinated by film rumors than by a brutal, preventable murder. Dominique's story isn't about ghosts. It's about the fear too many women live with every day. The fear of not being believed. The fear of being blamed. the fear of speaking out and still not being protected. But in death, Dominique's voice became louder. Her family, especially her father, Dominique Dunne, refused to let her memory fade. He turned his grief into journalism, using his platform to spotlight injustice. The Dunnes helped launch public awareness campaigns and victims' rights initiatives, and they never stopped tracking the man who killed her, warning others of the danger he still posed. Dominique's legacy also lives on in her work. In Poltergeist, she delivered the now iconic line, "They're here." In truth, they will always here. Those forces of control, violence, and denial. But thanks to stories like Dominique's, so are we. Watching, speaking, refusing to look away. She wasn't just a victim. She was a young woman with dreams, with talent, with every reason to believe she had decades ahead of her. A daughter, a sister, an actress, and a voice silenced too soon. A woman who saw her own end coming, and no one stopped it. Her life was a rising star. Her death was a chilling prophecy. Remember her, speak her name, and fight for those still waiting to be heard.